Have you ever wanted to be rich? Just like the cool kids at the top of the leaderboard? Also, this calculation is yet another reason why you shouldn't use badlion. Anyway, I digress. Have you ever wanted to wander up to the bank and see 1 billion coins in there? Only to realise that you can't actually move those coins because of a pet. Anyway, I'm sure you want coins, and for your own reasons. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the best money making methods that Hypixel Skyblock has to offer at this time. As some may say, it's time to get the bread. Now, the first method that I'm going to talk about has been pretty prominent for a long time now. This method requires you to head over to the Dwarven Mines, purchase a Crystal Hollows pass, and simply travel there. Obviously, probably don't get in the minecart, it's very slow. Now, of course, within the Crystal Hollows, there's an array of different gemstones. Mining gemstones with the best gear that you can possibly find can bag you upwards of 70 to 80 million coins per hour. Now, people debate how much you can make, dependent on mayors and so on. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. You see, there's a pretty distinctive pattern that emerges when you actually start looking into the Crystal Hollows and majority of the gemstones. And that's simply that majority of the gemstones spawn in the same place. And they're on a timer, so they will just keep respawning and respawning in exactly the same place, in exactly the same formation. For people who mine gemstones for money, a big chunk of the time is taken up by setting up a route. And a route is basically as simple as it sounds. Because the gemstones respawn over and over again in exactly the same place, it's way more efficient just to have a route set up. It's basically just a loop that you will go from one gemstone vine to another one and continuously mine it in a circle. The fact that these gemstones respawn in the same place, even from lobby to lobby, means that if you can get a good route down to a T and start mining it, you can do it much quicker, and then you can sell the route to people who are actually mining gemstones. These routes regularly sell for between 40 to 75 million coins, and if you can get quick at doing it, it can take you half an hour to do so. Now, there's many things that can hinder this, such as structures spawning in the middle of the route, basically voiding the route. You may only find this out once you've mined out most of the route, but basically making it worthless and completely and utterly useless to people wanting to buy it. Nevertheless, it is a ridiculously good money-making method, and at the end of the day, if you have not got the requirements or the money to buy the tools that you need to actually farm or mine gemstones efficiently and actually make a lot of coins from that, you can at least set routes up for people and still bag a lot of coins. Of course, the quality of your route does dictate sort of how much you can sell it for. But yeah, moving on. If you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. Also, you should subscribe to the channel, it really does help out a lot. And you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. Next up, we have Cudra. Now, a lot of people will tell you that to make the real good money, you really need to do tier 5, which I guess, in a sense, is true. From Infernal Cudra, you are going to consistently make the most out of all the Cudra tiers. That of course makes sense considering it's the highest tier of Cudra, and every time you increase the tier of Cudra that you actually play, the chances of better rewards get greater. However, a good few weeks ago, I did basically a test where I did 50 Cudra runs, and I think I made around about 38 million coins per hour, and I had relatively bad luck compared to other people I was playing with. Of course, that's without getting lucky and dropping a god roll too. Aurora god rolls will bag you between 250 to 300 million coins, which is absolutely insane. Now you might think, well, how does this compare to something like dungeons? Now I'd say from one singular dungeon run, you may have the potential to make more coins, for instance if you drop a Necron Sandal or a scroll or something like that. However, in terms of consistency, of course at the end of the day, both are just RNG. But if you have a key for every single Cudra run that you do, you're going to profit from every single run. I mean, that's from tier 3 upwards. And that's because of the Crimson Essence that you receive for every run where you actually open the chest, and then also the 2 drops that you get. Some of the more high tier drops include the Wheel of Fate, a Cudra core from Burning Tier starting at 30 million coins, from Fiery Tier or tier 4 up to 130 million coins, and for an Infernal Cudra core you're going to be looking at over 500 million coins. Not to mention, who wouldn't want the chance to roll an Enrager every time you open a chest? I mean, that's an easy 4 billion coins. Next up, we have Lowballing. Lowballers typically advertise their services in a hub, usually a populated hub. Players from around the community will then visit their island, and basically the lowballer will offer them a price for an item, and it's pretty much always going to be below market value. The seller gets to sell their items straight away instead of having to wait for it to sell on the auction house, but also gets slightly less for their item than market value, and obviously that's the whole point of lowballing. You're going to make a profit. It's essentially flipping. Now, it's no secret that lowballers who have more money to spend are going to make more coins. The great thing about lowballing, and to be honest just flipping in general, is the fact that the only requirement that you have is basically coins. If you can get some coins together, you can do it. It's not like you need mining 25 or mining 4 or whatever. There's no requirement. You're basically just buying and selling items. Honestly, the profits you can make from lowballing are sometimes unmatched. It's something that I've always wanted to try, but never really properly had the chance to, considering, well, I mean, I'd have to be unnicked in order to trade with people, and I don't feel like I should do that. Try and lowball, I just don't think that's right. And then if I go on an alt, what's the point in having coins on an alt? And obviously you can't transfer the coins back because that's not what you're supposed to do. It's a bit of a tricky one. But I've watched other people lowball, and to be honest, it actually just looks fun to do. I mean, some people get like, lowball's got a bad rep. You know, think what you like, but at the end of the day, it's just flipping. Now, honestly, a ridiculously good way to make money is craft flipping. For those of you who aren't aware, we take, for example, an item like the Gauntlet of Contagion. Instead of regularly auction house flipping this item, i.e. buying it from the AH and selling it back to the AH, you need to gather the materials needed to craft the item. So you craft it yourself and then sell it on the auction house. Usually makes really good profit. Obviously that completely depends on the item, and usually what dictates the price of this is the collection actually needed to craft the item. Of course, a lot of people on classic profiles buy items from the AH because they don't have the collection, or maybe they just don't want to and they want to save time by just buying it. Now, a lot of Crimson Isle items are very good examples of this actually put into practice, considering the leather cloth that you actually need to craft a Gauntlet of Contagion is not obtainable. Basically, you can't buy it, you have to obtain it yourself. And the only way that you can do this is by killing the Barbarian Duke, which is probably known as to be one of the most difficult mini-bosses to kill in the Crimson Isles. There is ways to do it that make it very simple, but people don't know about them. Of course, you could quite easily buy the enchanted mycelium cubes from the bazaar, but there are many more examples of this. For example, the cheapest Terminator on the market is 733 million coins. If we look at the craft recipe for this Terminator, we're going to need a Judgment Core, we're going to need 8 tessellated Ender Pearls, we're going to need 3 No Blades, we're going to need 2 stacks of Tarantula Silk, and 4 braided Griffin Feathers. For example, if you then instant buy the 8 tessellated Ender Pearls that you need, it will set you back 48 million coins. If you create a buy offer, it's going to cost 32 million coins. However, we could craft these tessellated Ender Pearls to make even more coins. That would require a stack and 16 absolute Ender Pearls, and also 32 enchanted lapis blocks. Of these Ender Pearls, we can craft the absolute Ender Pearls ourselves, with enchanted Ender Pearls. And we can also craft the enchanted lapis blocks with enchanted lapis. But yeah, you can essentially do this with every single item. You can look into it and actually see that you can get the items for much cheaper than initially looks. So that Terminator, that costs 733 mil on the auction house. Just from simply putting buy orders up on the bazaar, we can get it for 639 million coins, which would bag us almost a 100 million coin profit. And that's without even crafting any of the items, that's just simply putting buy offers up. Now, the Terminator isn't obviously the only item you can do this with. There's so many items that you can do this with, and the Gauntlet of Contagion is just an example of a great one that you can grind for simultaneously as you may be just grinding mini-bosses in the Crimson Isles. Almost like a supplementary income. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Have you tried any of these methods for yourself? Is there any more methods that I've completely missed? Of course, I've only gone over 4 methods in this video, so there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of other great money-making methods out there. Not to say that I've covered them all, of course. But anyway, I think that will just about wrap up today's video. I hope you all have enjoyed. If you have, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.